Good afternoon, everybody. So, how do you find what you want to do for the rest of your life? That seems like a big question, right? You're in college, you're just trying to get through the semester. But how do you figure out what you want to spend your time and energy on after you leave? I can tell you that most people make this decision the wrong way. Most people use the wrong criteria to choose not only their first job after college, but their entire career. And I can tell you from personal experience, as somebody who has changed jobs, from being a partner in a law firm, to being the manager of an angel investor network, to finally, and happily, being a business law professor here at Bentley, that there is a simple solution to choosing work that you are going to love for the rest of your career. But it requires knowing something about yourself that most people don't know. Most college students don't know it, but you can know it. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It is this. What do you enjoy being good at? What are you naturally good at that you like doing? Now, it's very different to know what you like being good at from what you are good at. Like, people have probably told you all your life what you're good at, or what your natural skills are. That's different from what you enjoy being good at. What you like being good at is what you should build your career on. Now, I myself was trying to figure out what to do with my own life a few years ago. A few years ago, I was a partner in an international law firm. I had a big title, I had a crazy big salary. I was doing what I had trained to do for 15 years. I was at the top of my game. I felt really sort of posh and fabulous, and I couldn't really expect more from my career, right? I had made partner, I was doing fine, but I was miserable. I hated coming to work every day, hated it, and that's no way to live. So I went out and I started talking to other people who had left the law to do different things, and I found former lawyers who were management consultants, and editors, and rabbis, and psychotherapists, and acupuncturists, and research directors. And I talked to all of them. And I asked them to tell me their stories about changing careers. And as I listened to them, I realized that they all had the same thing in common. And it was this. In their current careers, the ones they liked, they were using the same skills, the same talents that they liked using in law, but they'd found a better and more fulfilling way to use those talents. What they were naturally good at had never changed, but they had found a better way to put those talents to use. And as a result, they were much, much happier. So talking to them changed fundamentally the way I thought about careers, because to be honest, I never really thought much about happiness growing up. It wasn't something that I associated with work. It was something I thought was separate from work. But talking to all those people made me realize that it is absolutely essential to know what you like being good at in order to be happy long-term in your career. Now, let me tell you why this is more important than it has ever been before. 91% of millennials expect to spend less than 3 years in each job they have. That's a lot of job hopping. Over the course of your career, that's 15 to 20 jobs. Okay, that might not be so bad the first few times, but over time, what does that say to hiring managers? What does it say to recruiters? To look at your resume and see a bunch of different jobs where you spent a year, 2 years, 3 years. What it says to the hiring manager is that they should probably not invest in you. That maybe you're going to leave, you're likely to leave, before that employer has recouped its investment in you. And maybe you really didn't even learn that much in the jobs that you had for such a short period of time. It's not a great way to build a career. Now, why are people changing jobs so often? It's because they're chasing happiness. It's because they're looking for personal fulfillment, which in itself is great. I'm all for happiness, and so are you guys. In fact, millennials value happiness at work more than any other generation since the 1950s, according to a recent Forbes study. That's fantastic. But I think millennials are going about looking for happiness at work the wrong way. I think too many people choose jobs based on who's coming to campus. Where can they make the most money out of the gate? What do most people in their major do? Who do they know? What corporate culture sounds really sexy? And those are all important, and they're all relevant. They should affect your decision in some way. But you should stay in the driver's seat. And what should drive your choice is where can you spend the most time doing what you love being good at. Career satisfaction comes from doing what comes easily to you for and around people who value that skill. I'm going to say that again. Career satisfaction comes from doing what comes easily to you for and around people who value that skill. So I made the mistake of choosing a career for the wrong reasons. I went into law because I'm really good at arguing. I am. I'm great at arguing. You can ask my husband, or my mother, or anybody else who's known me for a long time. They know I'm good at arguing. And usually, I would hear, before I had decided what I wanted to do when I grew up, I would hear from other people, oh, you should be a lawyer, you know. Usually, those are people on the losing end of arguments. And after a while, I believed them. And I thought, you know, this is not so bad, actually. Going to law school, you can make a lot of money. There's a lot of prestige in that, you know. And coming from a low-income family, as I do, that had a lot of pull. So I went to law school, and I did all the things that you're supposed to do in law school, and I worked for one law firm after another and built my way up to this partnership before I realized I don't like arguing. I really hate arguing. It kind of eats me up inside. And I liked it less and less as I got older. By the time I was in my 30s, which may seem like forever to you guys, but by the time I was in my 30s, I just didn't want to go to work anymore. I felt sick when I opened my email. I would feel this terrible feeling in the pit of my stomach when I approached my workplace. And as I say, that's no way to live. So there were some things about my job that I did like. I did like the part of my job where I had to take this complicated legalese, this weird convoluted language of the law, and translate it into English for my clients so that they could use business law to make strategic decisions. They could run their business well. I loved that. I loved that process of translating. And I really liked public speaking and semi-public speaking. I liked being up in front of a group of people like I am right now and explaining to them something that I found really important and that I thought would be helpful to them. I liked writing, but I didn't like writing the kind of briefs and long, weird old emotions that lawyers have to write. What I was able to do was find a career that let me do all the things I like being good at, that let me stand up in front of a group of people and talk about business law in a way that makes sense, I hope, to people who are managers or are going to be managers. This is incredibly thrilling for me. If you've been one of my students, you know how excited I get before class. Being a business professor, for me, is the perfect job because it lets me do what I love being good at. And that's what you should do, too. But it starts with the self-knowledge. What do you like being good at? Do you like analyzing facts? Do you like writing? Do you like helping your friends solve problems? Do you like organizing TED conferences? What is it that you like doing? What is it that you're good at? And if that doesn't immediately come to mind, let me suggest 3 ways for you to figure this out for yourself, because it's incredibly important. Number 1, think about what you do in your spare time that other people find valuable. What do you do that you don't have to do, but you really like being good at? I have a classmate from law school named Valerie Beck. Valerie had the dream job after we graduated. She worked for an international law firm in the Paris office. She was making a lot of money, and she was working European hours, which meant she got off at 5:30 every day. But she really hated her job. So she found solace, like you would in Paris, in pastry shops. She's tiny, too. She found every chocolate store in Paris and figured out what made good chocolate. She went to patisseries, and she got to know the owners of the patisseries. And so when her friends came to visit her, because you know all her friends came to visit her when she was living in Paris, she would take them from pastry shop to chocolate shop to pastry shop and show them what she had learned. And she loved doing that, and she came to live for that. So fast forward a few years, Valerie moves to Chicago. She works for another law firm. She hates this law firm too. And so she leaves her law firm to become a Mary Kay saleswoman. And what she learns as a Mary Kay saleswoman is how to run a small business, how to go into business for herself, how to manage a business. And she uses that when she leaves her law firm to start, and she is now the CEO of, Chicago Chocolate Walking Tours, which she has since expanded to 3 other cities. She takes people on walking tours of chocolate shops in the Chicago area. On a day like today, she does hot chocolate walking tours. And she loves it. She's got dozens of employees. She runs her business exactly the way she wants to, the way she learned how to as a Mary Kay saleswoman, using some of the negotiation skills she used in law school. But she's doing what she loves being good at. She's built her career around that. So that's one way to figure this out about yourself. A second way is to ask your friends. Turn to the people who know you best and ask them, what am I good at? What do you see me being good at that I really, and then think about whether you like that. So I know another woman named Lisa Montanaro, another unhappy lawyer, absolutely hated her job, and the best part of her day was coming home to her house, which was really well organized. It was beautiful, it was really clean. She was just good at organizing stuff. Her friends would call her over and have them redo her closets, you know, and when she was stuck in the office on the weekends, which happens to lawyers a lot, she would, for fun, reorganize the firm files. This was fun for her. So one Sunday night, she's talking to her friend on the phone about how much she is hating the idea of going to work the next day. And her friend says to her, wouldn't it be great if you could get paid for organizing things? Bing! Right? Light bulb goes off over her head. Half an hour later, she and her friend have both done a Google search, and she has found the National Association of Professional Organizers. They have a certification program. She does the certification program. And then she starts a professional organizing business. She is so successful, she writes a book. She has since developed her organizing practice into a life coach practice. She went from sorting out people's closets to sorting out people's lives. And now she has a successful practice on both coasts. She's happier than she's ever been. Okay? So figure out what you like doing that other people value. Ask your friends. A third way is to just kind of break it down day by day. What was the part of today that felt easiest to you? Where did you feel a sense of flow? Where did you feel a sense of time stopping? What was just easy for you to do? If it wasn't today, sometime in the last week, think about it week by week. Start keeping notes for yourself. What feels effortless to you? What feels like a sense of flow? So somebody else that I met while I was doing my research is Will Meyerhofer. Will, when he was in college, was the guy everybody went to when they had a problem. Will is an excellent listener. He's really, really good at helping people figure out their problems. He was just always that go-to guy. Oh, I don't know what to do. You should talk to my friend Will. He's really good at this stuff. Will went to law school. You're getting now that maybe law school is kind of a mistake for some people. Some people. Not everybody. And he was miserable. He was a mergers and exchange lawyer, and so he spent most days in a windowless room full of paper, which is torture for him because he's an extrovert. So he was miserable, so he thought, all right, I'll leave and I'll work on something that I love. Okay, he loves books, so he goes to work for Barnes & Noble. That makes sense, right? That's good, except what he was doing for Barnes & Noble was sales, and he hates sales. He loves books, but he hates sales. So that wasn't sustainable for him either. So he finally left and got another graduate degree, which in itself was a difficult decision, in psychotherapy. He now has a practice called The People's Therapist. He has a blog. He has a practice in Brooklyn where his client list is full and he has a wait list. He has complete control over every minute of his day. He works when he wants to. He travels when he wants to. He works from a home office. He makes more money now as a psychotherapist than he ever made as a lawyer. And he's happier than he's ever been. So that is doing things the right way. Focusing on what you love being good at is the key. It is essential to finding a successful career, something that you will always love doing. And Will's story raises another, I think, important point, which is some people think about finding a job based on what they like what they're interested in. I don't recommend that. I think your skills should trump your interests. Think about this. If you really like sports, and maybe you want to work for ESPN. Okay. Now, you'll have to convince ESPN that you would make a good employee as opposed to just a good viewer. How are you going to do that? You're going to have to show ESPN that you have some skill that they need, that they value. And that better be a skill you love using every day, or you will be just as unhappy at work every day as Will Meyerhofer was when he worked for Barnes & Noble. So what do you do that ESPN would value? Are you really good at producing news stories? Are you really good at analyzing team statistics? What is it that you love being good at? If you know that, then you will find it very easy to sell that information, sell those skills to ESPN or anybody else. So this knowledge is incredibly important. Why, since it's so important, don't more people know it about themselves? I put the blame on us, your teachers and your parents. We do not spend enough time encouraging you to think about what you love doing. Why don't we do that? Because we have inherited, let me just blame the baby boomers. I'm just going to blame them now. We have inherited from baby boomers the sense that money equals power equals success. That greed is good, that the more money you make and the better a title you have, the better your life is. Fortunately, you guys don't buy that. And I'm all for your skepticism. As I say, millennials value happiness at work more than any preceding generation since at least the 1950s. That's fantastic. So you have a unique opportunity to create more happiness for yourself, more sustainable happiness. And the way you do that is to know what you like being good at. And once you know that, you will be amazed how much more successful you are at job interviews, because you will have tapped into a genuine passion. And there is nothing like showing a genuine passion for what the job requires to persuade someone to hire you. It is very powerful, and there is no substitute for it. And there really shouldn't be long-term, because do you want to fake it at work every day? You can't. You shouldn't. You don't have to. So know what it is. Learn what it is that you like being good at, because that is the kind of self-knowledge we should all spend more time generating. Thank you.